Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is day 2 of Christy's 30 Days of Sketches and day 31 of 100 sketchy videos here on my channel. So this is today's sketch. It has 5 photos, a big old title, and it's from Jen Scow. So let's see what I can do. Alright guys, here we go. So I am cutting down these photos to 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Now these aren't the best photos, and I have scrapbooked tons and tons of pages of the Millennium Falcon already, and I just can't stop. The original plan was to put all of these photos in pocket pages and just have a couple layouts, but you know what? I'm enjoying scrapbooking the Disney photos. I'm enjoying scrapbooking the Star Wars Land photos, which is Galaxy's Edge. I do know what it's called. I just like saying Star Wars Land. So like I said, these photos are going down to 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So they're basically like the leftover photos, the stuff that I've either already, taken layouts for the photos, and they're just a little bit more, a little bit extra. So now I'm going to take this gray cardstock and I'm going to cut the gray cardstock down to 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. And I find that this is much easier than matting the photo directly on the cardstock and trying to get it to be straight and try to get it to be matted just right. So if you know your photos are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, then you can make the photo mat 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. I'm just going to pop some adhesive down on the back of all of the photos, and then I'm going to mat them on top of the gray cardstock. Now I did pull the gray cardstock color from this plaid paper that I'm going to use because I want it to coordinate my photos. Now, if I was pulling colors from the photos, it would kind of be all over the place. Blues, browns, blacks, and I'm just kind of doing my own thing. You don't always have to pull your colors from your photos. You can pull your colors from your mind. Or if you see a piece of paper you like, use that. I know that many times design rules and such dictate that you pull the colors from your photos, but you know what? You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you please. So I am taking this Close to My Heart ink. It is in the shade of Willow, and I'm using my Pink and Main blender brush that I have just for green inks. Green dye inks. Pigment inks do not get used with the blender brush. Pigment inks get used with the round blender tool. So I am just going to take my blender brush and just rub the ink through the stencil. Now I am holding on to the stencil with this microfiber cloth, and what that's going to do is kind of protect my hands from getting green ink all over it. It's not doing anything else other than protecting the fingers where I'm holding on to the stencil. Now it does look like my stencil has blue all over it, and the stencil is stained. Mylar will eventually stain. It doesn't hurt the stencil, but it will eventually stain. And this is a Scrapping Reflection stencil. It's the All-Star stencil, and it is probably my favorite stencil because I probably use it the most. I just think stars are so versatile, you guys. Like, you can use it on anything, really, anything. So I am going to go ahead and use varying amounts of darkness on these stars. So the more you rub over it, the darker the ink is going to get. And I want it to have a little bit of variation, not a lot, not like crazy where some of it is barely peeking through and some of it is deep, deep, deep dark green. Don't want that at all. I do take my microfiber cloth and rub down the stencil, and what that's going to do is just pull that excess ink off of the stencil. I grab some Brutus Monroe Glitter Glaze, and then I'm going to take my palette knife and I am going to go in one direction. So across the entire stencil, I am going to kind of go in this from the upper right to the lower left direction, like on a diagonal a little bit. And what that is going to do is, since I am not completely covering my stars with this glitter glaze, it's going to look more uniform when I peel off the stencil. At least that is my intention. I'm looking at the finished layout now, and I've covered up so much of it that you don't really see the uniformity of it, but it's there and it makes sense to me. So I like it. I'm gonna go with it. Now, this glitter glaze is almost gone, so it is going to be wrapped up with this layout, and the little container is going to get tossed. I am just feeling really good about myself, you guys. I've been using up washi tape, I've been using up glitter glazes, my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive glue bottle's just about empty. Like, I'm feeling really good about myself and getting these products used up. So I went ahead and let the glitter glaze dry for a few minutes, and that's just going to be so that I can work on top of it easier. Now I take this plaid paper. I think it's some sort of snow cabin fever, what is it? Sub-Zero. So it is a kind of like a cold weather type thing. It's from 2017, so it's an older paper. And I just go ahead and rip my star paper right here. And then I am going to mat on top of it this gray torn paper, and just little pieces of it are going to be poking out. It doesn't matter to me that you can't see all of the gray underneath of the white. I like the fact that some of the white is going to be directly on top of the plaid. So I'm just using my cutting mat here to kind of map out where the plaid needs to be so that I have a full 12 by 12 page again. Don't want to accidentally make it too large or too small so it looks funky in that page protector. So now that I have that done, I'm going to washi tape the back of it, and that is just so when my layout is sliding in and out of the page protector, it's not going to get caught on anything and kind of like tear off or tear apart. Nobody needs that in their life. Now I'm going to use some fun foam, and I'm just cutting it up into some almost square shapes. And I'm just doing that because I want my photos to be lifted up off of the stars. I know that the sketch has lines to kind of have these photos hanging down from the top of the page, but I'm not going to do that. I just don't feel like it's kind of necessary for this layout. I do something else to the top in a little while because I felt like I needed it, but I just like the way that this is turning out. So I do use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive on that red fun foam, and on some of them I don't place enough glue on it, so I do have to add more. Like I said, this bottle's almost empty, so it's a little bit tougher to get the glue out of the bottle. Now I do go ahead and get these layered up a little bit, and I'm making sure that the photos are kind of bouncing along the page, so they aren't completely lined up with each other. Even the two photos that are closest to the bottom of the page are really, really close, but they're not straight across. They're not straight across lined up from each other. Now, I already knew what my title was going to be when I was pulling out papers for this layout, and that's just because this thicker set was on top, because my room is a travesty, you guys, and I haven't cleaned it up. So it's this ombre thicker that says yes please, and I decided that my title was going to be yes please more Millennium Falcon. I ended up not putting Millennium in the title, just didn't need it. But please didn't exactly fit between those two photos, so I needed to pop up the word please and on the PLEA, because the E kind of hangs out on top of the photo. Oh, and that's where I needed some more adhesive, so we're just going to squirt down some more. I pop it with a pin. I find that I really don't have trouble with this glue clogging up until I get to the very end. And that's when it starts to clog a little bit. I don't know what that's about, but it is there. So I'm going to go ahead and push all of this stuff down again. And then I keep those hearts because I'm thinking, you know what? I'm probably going to use them on this page somewhere. I know that there's a lot of stars on this page, but I don't mind mixing stars and hearts. I pull out these little green letter stickers that are going to spell out more. So far we have yes, please, more. I'm just making sure to press those down. And then I have these green thickers that I got at Tuesday morning. And I don't have any more A's, but I am going to Frankenstein up the letter here to kind of make it look like an A. And then I have the L and the C, and I have an O, and then I don't have any more N's either, so I have to Frankenstein an M by cutting off the second hump. And then I'm also going to add an exclamation point because I just feel like, you know, sometimes you just need it. Sometimes you just need that little extra oomph behind your page, and this is one of those times. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that something needs to happen up at the top. Like I said, I don't want to do the hangy down things from the top. I don't think it really kind of fits with this. You know, I've got this starry background in Millennium Falcon photos and I kind of just want them, you know, floating around. So I decide to trim off the top of the layout, and then I add some plaid to the top since I have it here on the bottom. Now, honestly, you guys, I probably, if I would have thought about this ahead of time and kind of knew what I wanted to make happen up here, I probably would have left this plaid paper as one sheet and just placed my other paper on top of it. But, you know, I didn't think that far ahead, and I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. Need a little bit more glue because that little sucker was popping off too. So I get that placed down on the page, and I'm liking it. I'm thinking something needs to be there, like something needs to be between that plaid and the white. And I'm thinking, okay, what is going to go here? Maybe I'll trim down a little bit. See, another washi tape roll gone. That's fantastic. Even if it's just my back of layouts washi tape, it's still another washi tape roll that has been used up. So that makes me happy. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should just tear off the top of the stars as well, and then just have this whole thing torn. But I don't really like that idea, let's be honest. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to put some gray here. And then I realized that the gray should have been tucked underneath between the white and the plaid. So I'm going to peel off this little hunk right here. I'm going to re-adhere some ATG stuff on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and get that gray piece of paper on top of the plaid paper. Now, this stuff is not completely even whatsoever, and it's not bothering me. And I think the reason why it's not bothering me is because the bottom of the page has torn edges, so it doesn't feel like it has to be, you know, completely straight and completely rigid. My layout is still 12 by 12, but it's just laying a little bit funky. Like the gray is a little bit thinner over on the left-hand side than it is over on the right-hand side. And if the perfectionist in you, if that's driving you crazy, then pre-plan this. Don't do what I did and just kind of like wing it as you go along. So I do add these two little hearts, and I decide to put one on the left-hand side on the bottom of the photo and one on the right-hand side on the top of the photo. So there it is, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to, you can definitely join the Scrapping Reflections Facebook group. We've been sharing our layouts, and 100 sketchy videos will be going for a while, so there will be lots of sketches. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again real soon for another video.